Hey guys, it's Darwin, and today we're talking about ultralight backpacking and why for me, it's not really about the weight. I really tried to get out on the trail this morning and film this video for you guys, but last night and this morning, it started dumping snow again, and well... I like you guys, but not that much to deal with that crap while I'm trying to film. So I am back here in the office, but I did bring the plants back, so hopefully that brings a little bit of outside, inside, and helps a little bit. So a couple of years ago, I made a video called Base Weight and Why It's So Important. And at the time, I was on this journey in my backpacking career trying to get as light as possible. Why? Well, the same reason a lot of hikers become weight weenies, because I believed that the lighter I could get my base weight, the better I would feel on the trail, the less bogged down I would be by the weight. And don't get me wrong, there's still a lot of truth to that. If I keep my base weight low, I'm putting less stress on my shoulders, on my back, on my knees, and on my feet. And when I'm doing something like a long distance hike and already stressing my body out every single day, if I can help that in any way possible by lowering my base weight, I'm definitely going to do it. But like a lot of hikers, I went down that rabbit hole and became obsessed with trying to get the lowest possible base weight I could get and become an ultralight hiker. Well, in 2017, I went out to do a section hike of the Arizona Trail, and I decided to experiment a little bit. And I got my base weight down about 7 pounds, 8 ounces, I think it was. And when I got out on trail, I felt light, I felt fast. But that night, when I got to camp, I wished there were things that I had. Some luxury items. That night when I was sleeping, I was a little bit uncomfortable because I wasn't on a thick enough pad. So when I got back, I started re-evaluating and trying to figure out this balance. I started adding comfort items back. I started trimming gear off in other places. And when I went out to thru hike the PCT in 2018, I kind of had this balanced pack. I definitely had a heavier base weight and a lot more comfort items. Well, when I was about halfway into my thru hike of the PCT, I started realizing that I wish that I had more simplistic gear. I wish that I had some of the gear that I had on that section hike of the AZT, but some of the comfort items that I had brought with me on my thru hike of the PCT. And that's when it clicked for me. I realized that to me, ultralight hiking and ultralight gear wasn't about the weight, it was about the simplicity of the gear that I was using while I was out on the trail. A good example is the pack that I started the PCT with was the Z-Pack's Arc Blast. It's a great pack, but every single day I was having to adjust the frame, adjust the hip belt, and do all of these extra steps to something that should be a lot more simplistic than that. So when I got to Washington, I traded it out for my Waymark Thru 40. It did the exact same thing, it carried my weight, but it was a much more simple design. I didn't have to worry about adjusting anything. I could just throw it on and take off hiking. And I found in that last 500 miles, I was just enjoying the hike more because I had less things to worry about. Now, looking back at some of the forefathers of long distance hiking, like John Muir, Grandma Gatewood, or Earl Schaefer, they had super simplistic gear. They weren't carrying a camp chair or a solar panel or a pack with a sleeping bag compartment. Heck, most of them didn't even have a sleeping bag or even a tent. Now, I know that's sort of a silly example because that was then, this is now, and we have more technology, but it kind of holds true to today. They were able to enjoy the trail more by having less. Now, over the years, I've gotten a lot of guff because I'm constantly switching out my gear. I don't think that I've ever done 2 hikes with the same pack setup. And why? Well, it's because I am constantly searching for what I call the trifecta of perfect gear. I want it to be light, so I'm saving my knees and my shoulders and my back. I want it to be durable so it can last a multi-month hike or 2. And I definitely want it to be simplistic so it's less crap that I have to worry about when I'm out on the trail. Those are the only three things that matter to me. It doesn't matter who makes it, doesn't matter how expensive it is or how cheap it is, and it doesn't matter what other people will think of me when I'm carrying it on the trail. Now, ever since I made that video 2 years ago, I've seen this weird divide in the hiking community, kind of two sides of the coin. You have these ultralight hikers that are so worried about their base weight and so obsessed that they won't even carry a 2-ounce water filter, and most of them get giardia. And then you have the backpackers that almost rebel against the whole ultralight gear ethos because they think it's too expensive or the materials are too light. And there's this weird divided thing in the hiking community. I'm this type of hiker or I'm this type of hiker. And at the end of the day, we're all out there doing the exact same thing. It doesn't matter if you have a heavy pack or a light pack, super expensive gear or cheap gear that you bought at Walmart. Is it good to care about base weight? Absolutely it is. Again, if you can save your knees and your feet while you're out there, you're just gonna feel better at the end of the day. But going on a trip where you could use an extra base layer because you're going at higher elevations and you don't bring it because you're trying to be an ultralight hiker and trying to make sure your pack looks small, that's just stupid. It's all about balance. You gotta get out on the trail, you gotta experience it for yourself, and you gotta go through trial and error. You gotta see what makes you comfortable, what makes you uncomfortable. If you like something with bells and whistles on it, or if you want something that's simplistic. If an off-brand piece of gear is gonna work for you, or if you need to spend that extra money on a piece of cottage company gear. It really all depends on you. And in answer to that question, am I an ultralight hiker? No. Actually, I've only had an ultralight kit one time, and that was on the AZT, and to be honest, I was sort of uncomfortable. Usually when I go out on the trail, I'm usually right around 11, 12, 13 pounds because I like to carry extra camera equipment. That's my luxury item. I choose the gear depending on what hike that I'm going to be doing and what I think that I'm going to need to enjoy the hike a little bit more. And I do that by constantly using different things on the trail and figuring out what works for what situation. So you guys have been asking for it for about 2 years. I'm finally going to bring back my ultralight gear on a budget series. And why? Because of this video, because of that conversation and that argument that we've been having back and forth. So if you're like me and you're not really worried about having the lightest gear and you're more worried about the simplistic part of it, I got you covered. Look for one of those videos coming out within like the next month because I've scoured the internet and I've looked for a handful of awesome, cheap, simplistic, and lightweight pieces of gear to help lower the base weight. All right, so hopefully this video wasn't too preachy. I just felt like I finally needed to say something. I just see this bickering and this argument back and forth, whether it's on Instagram or Facebook or Reddit or here on YouTube about I'm an ultralight hiker, I'm a section hiker, it doesn't matter. We're all just hikers. Use what works best for you. Figure out what you need for what hike you're doing and get out on the trail and enjoy yourself. And let's stop labeling ourselves and being this or this, and let's all just enjoy the trail together. If you found any value in this video, go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and as always guys, thanks for watching.